How's it going, everyone? It's Alex with AC Flips. Today I have John with Side Hustle Experiment. We're going to be doing another one of my video in the series. Would you buy this? John, welcome to the video. And would you explain to the people, who you are, what you do with Amazon, and how long you've been selling?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Alex. I'm John, Side Hustle Experiment. I've been selling on Amazon for almost 5 years now. Started with books, got into bulk books, got a warehouse, did all that stuff. And then, I started doing online arbitrage about 2 years ago and with books, and now I'm doing it full time. And I love it.
Awesome. So John and I are going to be breaking down some products, but the audience will get to play along. We'll show you some of the products. You'll get to make your analysis, and then John and I are going to break down each of the products for you guys. So let's jump into that first product. All right, so our first product is some Under Armour shorts. Pause the video, make your analysis, and determine if you would buy this product or not for your Amazon business. All right, so we have these gray Under Armour shorts, a lot of different variations, but it's a decent rank. We can see the listing, the entire listing sells a little over 1,000 times a month. Our hypothetical cost here is $8.99, selling for $24.97, 44% ROI, which is decent in the clothing category. We like to have a little bit higher than your typical $3, 30% ROI in clothing, just because there is a lot of competition and the price does like to move a lot. So any bit of extra ROI we can get in the clothing category is only going to benefit us. But let's not just look at these numbers. Let's take a look at that Keep It chart and make sure that the rest of the things check out. All right, so we can see that Amazon is on this listing the entire time, right? Under Armour, Amazon sells a lot of Under Armour. We do see that the buy box is shared with Amazon and some of the OA sellers. So that's a good sign for us, right? It doesn't look like they share it all that often, but again, we are profitable at that $24.97 price. The offer count doesn't do a whole lot of moving, over the last 3 months. It stays kind of, between 5 and 15 sellers. Let's double check the, buy box statistics tab to see how much Amazon is actually sharing that buy box to maybe help us determine if this is worth purchasing or not. So we go to that data tab, buy box statistics. We can see that Amazon is only at 51%, which is lower than you would think, them being on the listing the entire time over the last 3 months. They aren't really sharing it with a whole lot of other sellers, which is the thing. There was, what did it say? 15 sellers currently on the listing, and only 3 others are getting the buy box share. And those those other sellers haven't gotten the buy box in almost 2 weeks now. So Amazon seems to, at least as of recently, taken over this thing full time. We don't really know how often Amazon is going to be sharing it in the future, which is a little bit risky for us to go, super deep on a product like this, right? We're only going to make $4 or $5 on each one, but we don't know how long it's going to take us to really sell this. Seeing that Amazon, for the most part, in and out are taking the buy box full time. Every once in a while, again, we see that some third-party sellers are able to get the buy box share, but it's not all that often. So for me, this would probably be a pass, just because it's a little bit too risky based on Amazon potentially taking the buy box percentage 100% over the next 3 months. We don't really know.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I mean, Amazon could always be risky too. And the fact that they're only sharing with 3 other people, not the best sign.
Exactly. And even if this is, we haven't checked the variations tab, so we don't even know how often this variation sells. We do have the gray larges, so it looks like that's the second fastest selling variation based on ratings percentage. But again, 7% of the entire sales. We're looking at 1,000 sales a month, which means this variation could only sell around 70 to 100 times per month. Again, but if Amazon's taking most of that buy box share, third-party sellers are maybe getting 15 to 20 sales a month if we really want to break down the number of sellers and sales. So again, probably going to be a pass on this one.
All right, for the next product, we got a vitamin supplement. Pause the video and kind of do some research on the Keep It chart. All right, so we have this product here. Looks like the cost price for this is $21.79. Sale price is $40.55. $7 profit, ROI 34%, pretty solid. break-even price is 31. Lots of room there. So you can see here, pretty steady throughout, even kind of when the seller count was increasing a little bit. When it really increased, you definitely saw it took a hit, but it's only going down to, it looks like 38-ish, coming up back up when the count goes down. It's kind of on its way back up right now. Let's see the buy box statistics. This looks like it's pretty evenly shared the last 30 days, last 90 and 180. Definitely being shared. For me, I like this. I know a lot of people, when the count goes up a lot, you know, and the price goes down, that's not the greatest sign. But at $38, you'd still be making some good money there. Still be making $5, and the history dictates that.
John, on something like this where we do see that offer count higher in the past, but it's slowly increasing as of recently. What is your take on how deep you would maybe buy on something like this if you were finding it, you know, right as it is?
So for me, for something like this, I'd probably buy 10 for me, 5 to 10. Just really depends on the site. Like if the site needs like $50 for shipping or whatever it is, I'd want to meet that. Or if the site capped it at like 5 or 6, then I just buy 5 or 6. But I'd also probably, like, it doesn't look like that many people, except for this person, has a lot of stock. But the buy box being shared equally. So yeah, I'd probably test 5 to 10 and then, you know, make sure I don't get an IP complaint or any issues like that, and then see what it looks like after I sell through.
I agree. Yeah. This is definitely one where, you know, you could go deep right away. We do see, you know, a good amount of sales. We see that buy box being shared. Maybe some people will worry about that offer count increasing, but other than that, we don't see a really big drop in price over, you know, the last 3 months or 6 months. So we don't have a ton of like worry of this thing just tanking. So yeah, definitely a buy, at least a test buy.
Same here.
All right, our next product is a Bissell carpet cleaner. Pause the video, do your analysis, and determine if you would buy this for inventory in your Amazon business. All right, so we have this Bissell turbo cleaner, carpet cleaner. Looks like it's a variation listing, but you know, this might be the only variation that actually has sales. A lot of different things to unpack on this listing. First thing I'm seeing, it sells pretty quickly, right? It's 13K rank, sells almost 2,000 times a month across all variations. It is an oversized product. So we look at this thing here and we can see that 16 pounds. So it is a little bit heavier. We'll talk about, you know, the options we can do with that in a little bit here. We're getting a really nice ROI. We can imagine this is probably at this price, probably like an RA clearance section find. You know, going to a store and finding it on clearance section there. So that 168 price puts us at, you know, a $55 profit, even if we're only buying a couple of these. At first glance, looks like it could be a pretty solid buy with some decent profits. Let's take a look at that Keep It chart. All right, so we have the Keep It chart here. Looks pretty flat, you know, relatively flat over the last 3 months. We've seen it a little bit higher in the past, but again, at $55 profit, only going from, you know, 179 to 168, like a $10 drop over 3 months. No really huge movement in the offer count is a good sign that we shouldn't see any major, you know, spikes or drops in the price in the near future based on, you know, what we've seen in the past here. Seller rank looks like it's pretty consistently between, you know, 10 and 15,000. So that's a good sign that we should still continue to see that speedy volume. Okay, so with a product like this, just to explain, I guess, what options we have, a 16-pound product, and it's, you know, 20 inches in its longest dimension, probably comes in a box. But again, that's going to be a little bit heavy. If you have, say, 5 or 10 of these, that's going to be a little bit more expensive to ship FBA, or it's going to take a lot of boxes, right? You got to find a box big enough to fit this thing. You could probably only fit 1 or 2 of these in a box. So for me, this might be a great option to merchant fulfill. So basically, you're going to be shipping this to the customer yourself. We do have the option to check our profits if we were to merchant fulfill this. So we can select the FBM price structure. again, now we're looking at $82 profit, but we do have to factor in shipping. For something big like this, we might expect on the conservative side, $15 to $20 in shipping. So if we were add somewhere right in the middle there, like a $17 shipping, now we're looking at $65 profit, a little over 100% ROI. So this looks like a really nice product. Again, if we did find it with retail arbitrage in a store, there's not going to be a huge supply because it's probably that store specific clearance section, or a lot of people aren't even doing retail arbitrage. A lot of people are online arbitrage. So you might have less competition, which we have seen in the past, right? There's not a ton of sellers on this listing. We can go back even further, and really the most we've ever seen is like $18 or 18 sellers, and the price is still hovering around that 160 mark. So all the things check out for this to be a pretty solid product. So this is something that I would buy if I'm willing to merchant fulfill.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a great example of like being able to merchant fulfill something, just because I think it's even more safe because a lot of people aren't going to want to touch this. Number one, they're going to be afraid to ship it without a box. Number two, they're going to think it's going to cost like $40 or $50 to ship. So I think that just built in is just some extra protection. And I don't even know if I've ever seen like a Keepa that like kind of consistent over like a year or two. Really nice, nothing crazy. It looks like Amazon had it at one time, and obviously this thing's probably like on its way out, especially if it's an RA clearance. Definitely a really solid find.
Yeah, you probably won't be able to replenish this a ton or find a bunch of these, but again, you find 5 of these at a $65 profit, and we're looking at a total of a little over $300 profit on one item in a month. That's a pretty solid number, especially for a beginner. So
yeah, and I think something like this has a pretty low chance of getting returned because it's like a vacuum. They're usually packaged pretty good. It just should be fine. Yep. All right, for our last product, we got another vitamin supplement here. Take a look at the Keepa and see if you would buy it or not. All right, so we got a Core Med Silence. We got some capsules here, 60 capsules. We got a buy cost of $5, $17.99 sale price, 96% ROI, pretty crazy. $4.81 profit, break even is $12. A lot of leeway there. Let's take a look at the Keepa. All right, so we'll see here that there is one seller. That is not a great sign. Typically, we see here that you could just tell by going through the line. You see Core Med Science. That's who these guys are. And it probably does not look like it's even selling at the $21.99 price anymore. So there's a big drop off there. Let's see the history. Yeah, it looks like no one has ever else been on here. Definitely sells because it's got more reviews, but they've been the only seller on the listing. So this would be a hard no for me.
So John, have you seen other listings where, there is an opportunity for you to sell on the same listing that a brand is also selling on?
Yeah, so there are definitely some opportunities there where you'd really want to look at the buy box statistics. Here, we're not going to see it, but there'd be other sellers in here and the buy box is being shared equally, kind of like what we saw with the Under Armour shorts, where Amazon was on it, but there were definitely like 3 or 4 other people who were getting buy box share. So I'd be looking for something like that. And then for something like this, if that was the case, I'd always do probably like a 5 test buy regardless, just because it's more risky. And even though the ROI, I feel like if this was a product where it's being shared, 96% ROI is amazing, but for $4 profit, it's just a lot of risk to make potentially $20, $24. So I would definitely pass on something like that.
Yep. And then you got the always the risk of like an IP complaint. Sometimes you'll see products where the brand allows other sellers, but they're still sending IP complaints in other sellers are just staying on the listing. So it's you don't want to go super deep on something until you've tested it, or at least know that it's a product where the brand won't send an IP complaint and you will still get sales.
Yeah, and you probably never really see on arbitrage products lines this straight. There's usually some like up and down, up and down.
Yep.
That's usually another tall tale sign that it's just the brand on it.
All right, so those were the 4 products that John and I broke down. Hopefully you guys got some value out of this. John, where can people find your socials or watch some of your content? I know you have a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, so you can follow me at Side Hustle Experiment on Instagram and the same on YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me today. This was a lot of fun. If you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe to both our channels, and I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.